Hey, Krystal. Oh my goodness, it's so great to see you. First of all, thank you for doing this and sharing your story so others can hear your journey. And please
Yeah.
tell us, where were you at that time? What was going on? How are you feeling? What symptoms, diagnoses?
Yes. So in 2014, we actually reconnected through a mutual friend because we had known each other years ago, but we reconnected. And at that time, I was really kind of going through, I was at a stressful point in my life, just some different things with family dynamics. And it was just causing a lot of just issues, that I was having to work through. Some of the, I guess, concerns that I had before or at that time, lots of brain fog, fatigue. I was, like I said, just really stressed out. I had gotten a diagnosis of high blood pressure due to some of the things that, I was going through. And so at that point, I wanted to look outside of traditional medicine to say, okay, what can I address from a holistic standpoint to help kind of, I guess, really rectify some of the things that I was seeing and feeling. And so that's, we got a chance to just talk and reconnect and got a chance to see where each other's life path had taken us. And so I, talked to you and found out that you were in naturopathic medicine. So I was like, definitely, this is where, I want to be. Let's get started. Let's see how we can approach, some of the things that, I'm going through. So that's kind of how we got started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the symptoms that you were feeling? I know you mentioned the brain fog, fatigue. Was there memory concern?
Yes.
Um,
Issues with memory. So I've always been like a, a high energy person. Okay. So that's been there. I've always kind of had some issues kind of keeping my attention, but would always be able to work through them. But at that time when we met, just like I said, with some of the other things that were going on, it just exacerbated things. So I was having trouble at work, like remembering schedules and, just being able to really organize, my work and to get things done. It was impacting me there. It was impacting me in my home life with my son. So, those were the things that I was seeing. I had also been anemic since I was like 16, so a teenager. And so that was, or actually even before then. So, that was causing like extreme fatigue and just, I mean, I remember having like debilitating fatigue, like not just like, tired because of work, but not being able to get out of bed, and get the day started, just being that physically, weak. So I was dealing with all that. Even sleep was an issue. So just not being able to fall asleep, probably because I was working into the night, on all kinds of stimulants, coffee and just whatever to try and stay awake. But then once I would fall asleep, having to wake up in the middle of the night to get a potty break, and then the quality of sleep wasn't there. So if I could fall asleep, then I wasn't getting quality sleep. So that I also feel like contributed to the next day, the cycle, brain fog, memory, it was just all kind of like a vicious cycle. So I was like, okay, let's definitely, I need to definitely get started with some sort of protocol, to just help address things holistically, spiritually, health wise, making sure to get enough sleep. So that's kind of why I opted for this approach.
nice. And then what is the family history that you have?
Yeah. So I have family history that includes hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes. My dad actually had his whole thyroid removed by the time he was 40 due to hyperthyroidism and lupus, all these things. So I definitely wanted to make sure to get a head start on all that and to make sure I kind of guard myself as best as I could, against some of those things. So I felt like this approach could help, identify the root cause to all of these things. I sometimes feel like, and traditional medicine has its place. I'm not putting it down. It definitely has its place, but sometimes I feel like, with the treatment approach, it might just be symptomatic, based, like, oh, let's put a Band-Aid on this thing that you're seeing, versus naturopathic medicine. With you, I was able to identify a lot of the root causes and stop things from even happening. So there's a lot of prevention there that I feel like is missing in healthcare, you know? And so there were things, not only that, oh, let's talk about this, hair loss and hair issues, right? Okay. So you know, every woman postpartum, you know, I had the postpartum shedding. And then when I went through that stressful event, all those things were triggers, you know, for that. So I wanted everything addressed, you know. And a lot of times if you go to a traditional doctor, they're like, okay, are you alive? You know, are your labs within, you know, acceptable ranges? Then you're good. And if you have a major symptom, then come back and we'll put a Band-Aid on it or whatever. But I like the holistic approach because it just really looked at the whole person, you know, and so, I mean, here's another one. Dental issues. So coming up, I had good oral hygiene. I mean, you know, but no matter what I did, it seems like I would go to the dentist and have all kinds of dental issues. You've got this cavity and you need a root canal, you need all these things. And so I just, you know, I can just say, since I've been taking the protocols and really been looking at myself holistically and how I can just improve myself in all aspects, you know, I haven't had a new cavity since 2016, you know, which is just, I know. So my like, that's been not only like a boost to me emotionally, but pocketbook wise, you know, I've been able to save money on, you know, different things that I would have probably had been out of pocket, you know, with, you know, just by following a lot of the protocols and getting my vitamin and nutrient levels to where they need to be too. So.
Wow. So that was a lot that you were coming with the background and the hair loss. I think you mentioned there was patches at times, maybe with the hair.
Patches of, you know, hair, especially in the high stress level, you know, zones. So there are, you know, parts of our hair and scalp that react to stressors. And so, I was seeing a lot of the thinning edges and just, you know, in the middle and different in the back, you know, those sorts of things were definitely present. So, you know, I just felt like with taking the naturopathic approach, I was able to address all that. And, you know, it's still a work in progress, but I am a lot better from where you saw me in 2014. I think when we first met in 2014, met again, I had a really I liked it, short haircut, but that wasn't of my doing. I had to cut my hair that short.
Oh no.
I didn't choose that style, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right.
But because of the stress that I was under, I actually had to go ahead and cut my hair that short and to kind of, keep things kind of camouflaged. So everyone was like, your hair is so cute. And I was like, well, thank you. But I knew why I had to cut it that short. So just being able to kind of reset a lot of things and feeling a lot better. So,
So, and then work schedule for you, you said you worked into the late hours. So typically how long were those work days?
Oh no, easily like 16-hour work day, you know?
God.
Yeah. And so I'm a speech pathologist, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I found ways to cope and make that better. But those type of hours, that's just like, that's built into the life of a speech pathologist. So, you know, I kind of knew that, okay, coming into that field, you know, this is what I was getting myself into. But it's so important to have a firmer grasp on your health, because there are certain things that you can avoid. You might have like a highly stressful job, you know, so I learned the importance of, okay, what can I control? What can I let go? You know, even work wise. And I also learned, you know, through taking the natural approach, you know, the importance of self-care. You know, you don't hear that in traditional medicine. So it's like, you know what, you can say no, you know, to that. This is important to your health. You know, and so with learning that, and I'm still learning that, if I'm being honest with you, but I am so much farther along than where I was. I mean, it's to the point to where we were talking about this a while ago, but I remember I was talking about brain fog and not really being able to organize my work previously. Well, last year I was actually asked to become like an account manager to oversee other speech pathologists and to kind of be a liaison between our company and other school districts that we work with. So I thought, you know, that was a testament to me taking control of my health, being on the regimen, the DHA, which, helps with the brain fog and the organization, of different things, I attribute it to that. I did decline because I prioritized my, also learned to prioritize my health, but I was flattered and honored and really appreciative of them thinking of me and thinking that, my, I guess my work skills or whatever, my performance, was worthy of them asking me for that. So
definitely, that speaks huge amounts to, things that you have gone through, the health challenges, getting things in order, memories better. And then for you to say no, to stand up for yourself so you could have a good work-life balance. I mean, it's important. Oh my gosh, I'm glad to hear that. I think I do remember that coming up, a year or so ago. So that's great. And then let's delve into, once you did, you became a patient and you went through things, and we discovered a few things. We discovered, food, things that you needed to avoid and things we needed to see added in because of deficiencies. Just talk about that journey, and how was it for you? Was it a struggle to either give up some things or to take some things? And
yes,
go through that.
Yes, through that journey, speaking of holistic approach, I kind of keep going back to that, but it's so important because I think now it's getting better, but as a society, we're now kind of coming back to our earlier understandings of how important food plays into our overall health. Yeah. We used to hear the saying all the time, you are what you eat. But we don't always believe that, And so, taking this journey really opened my eyes to that. So I did learn of some things that I needed to avoid. And if anything, it helped me just to have it on my mind. So it's like, if you're tempted to indulge in those things, you're thinking, this could potentially be damaging you, or at the very least not allowing you to operate optimally, and so it can affect all sorts of things. So that's kind of been the journey with that. It has been a struggle, but I will say the times when I'm consistent and I'm on the protocol and I'm where I need to be, I feel so much better, and I can tell when I'm not. So
right.
That kind of speaks to the consistency that's needed as well. So
we did do that early on when we first started, because that's kind of a foundational aspect of this whole journey. But I think the consistency you started to really implement a few years later.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's yeah.
Just I was consistent.
We were going through quite a bit personally with the family dynamics changing and transitioning, single motherhood for those years. So that's a lot happening with the 60-hour work schedule.
It was tough, but the thing that I liked about this journey was really, if I even followed it somewhat, the protocol somewhat, I felt better, so it's kind of like just the awareness. It was for me, that's what it was for me, the awareness that I really needed to take control of my health. And then getting on and just making sure whatever I did my absolute best, giving myself grace, because you were always very graceful whenever we had our follow-ups. It was never like, well, you need to do this, you need to do that, but it was more of a, this is for your benefit, here's why, but there was always grace, so the understanding there as well. So, we have to give ourselves grace. I feel like that's important, but it is important to take your health seriously. So yeah.
And what did labs end up uncovering during this process for you?
Yeah, so I think around 2015, I believe it was, when I got diagnosed with the high blood pressure. You and I were doing some blood work together, and we decided to look at, I guess, my whole profile. So hormones, I wanted to check hormones out because of the family history of the autoimmune. I wanted to make sure just mood, memory, all that stuff, that I was where I needed to be with that. So anyway, we did some lab work, and we uncovered that I actually had like a very high elevated growth hormone that might be maybe associated with like maybe a benign tumor or something, possibly. So it was along those lines. But the typical range I forget what the typical range is, but mine was like twice that. So if the typical range was like 200, mine was like 400 plus, you know? And so you were the first person to actually uncover that. And so I had never heard of that before. And so that prompted me to actually get some imaging done. And we uncovered that, I did not have a benign tumor. So we were able to kind of refer me out to an endocrinologist and another specialist to kind of get their input on it. But, just for you noticing that that was a red flag and sending me, to get follow up on that. I mean, if I wasn't coming to you and just had relied on my traditional lab work, I would not have known that. But anyway, fast forward, since we, implemented the protocols that you put into place, and I have seen those numbers cut in half, and even have had times when the growth hormone was in the average or typical or, range. So another thing that I believe you saw or uncovered was a marker for heart disease or, something like that, is something that is very important because I have heart disease in my family. Leptin levels were high. So just kind of some things that are can be, pretty crucial or can turn into something pretty crucial if not addressed.
Right. Genetic biomarker.
Yes, something genetic. Yes. And so it's one thing to kind of like hear the family history, and things that but it's another thing to kind of see it in black and white. And it's like, okay, you need to address those things. Another thing that we uncovered a while ago was DHA levels. So that has a lot to do with, probably could explain like the brain fog and kind of the forgetfulness. And I guess some of the symptoms that might be, associated with like ADHD or whatever, okay, that people have. We uncovered, those were out of range at one point. And I know that like my DHA and levels and different things like that they have improved because of what I talked about before. Enhanced memory, being able to organize my work better, improve performance. So I'm seeing it functionally, as well as in black and white. So a lot of my symptoms have either become manageable or have resolved. So definitely have noticed the change and, have just heard, people's assessment of me that even surprises me sometimes, different coworkers and different people like that are saying, wow, you seem like you're really on top of things. And so anyway, I just contributed to the journey. So something just came to my mind. When I was like, let's see, maybe 18, 19, I had an ovarian cyst. And so a lot of times when you have those, the treatment is an oral contraceptive to kind of dissolve the cyst. So I was put on birth control, and I did that probably for about a year at that time. And so, and then even more recently after the birth of my son, I had an IUD implant placed. So, and it's interesting and ironic that after I had that IUD placed, we noticed like the elevated growth hormones and kind of some of the things going on with my prolactin levels. So I can understand how there might have been a correlation with that. So just, the education that comes with, what I've received on the journey too, is important. So yes, so those things have been uncovered as well.
And then there was imaging done on your thyroid and there was cysts, is that correct?
Yes. So like a thyroid, had a thyroid or had imaging done that uncovered a thyroid cyst. Okay. So we were able to kind of uncover that last year. That's still a work in progress. You were able to prescribe, some things for me to do. And I did notice I think I talked to you about this before, but when I was consistent doing those things, I saw, the cyst, I felt like it was getting smaller, resolving, and kind of, going from there. So that's something that, is so important and speaks to, again, the consistency.
What did you feel about cost and the financial aspect of this for you?
Right. So when I consider, cost benefit analysis, this is just for me personally. You have to understand the benefit, before you look at the cost so much. What benefit is this going to have for me? I'm a person that believes that you get what you pay for. And I've always not been opposed to investing in my health. So if there's something that, is research backed or being recommended from someone that I trust, and that is knowledgeable, and, I know they have my best interest at heart, I'm going to try it. I'm going to, forego something else that I might want. Maybe I don't get that new, pair of shoes or something, maybe I, forego getting my nails done so that I can afford, you know what I'm saying? So that I can afford something that's going to allow me to have the quality of life that I want. And it's very important. That's just how I view things personally. And it's been worth it, because when I see it in black and white, the pre-labs that showed all these different deficiencies, and then after working on the protocol for years, doing another lab test and seeing, my levels where they need to be, and still working on some areas, but an overall shift of improvement. It's like, how can you deny the benefit? Therefore, the cost is like, to me, it becomes less of an issue. It's a non-issue, actually, because I'm seeing it, I'm feeling it, but I'm also seeing it in black and white. So it works, and it's worth it to me. So for anyone, I feel like, who is struggling, kind of looking at the price, you have to consider what you really want. Always start with the end in mind. What do I really want? Do I want to have good quality of life, time with my kids, and the time that I have, do I want it to be with strength and vitality? These are questions that you have to ask yourself. Not the first thing, to me, this is my opinion, I approach lots of different areas of my life with this. What do I want? That's the first thing I look at. and then what am I willing to do to get there? And then when you put those two together, like, the cost becomes secondary, because most of the time, we can figure out how to get what we want. That's for most people. So if you have identified what you want, then you can figure it out. You'll figure it out,
Yes, that's
so
right.
That's what I would encourage, not to put anyone down, not to say that we're not struggling, but when you decide, okay, this over here, these different things have not been working. Okay, so what do I want? And then how can I get there?
Right.
How can I budget? How can I do whatever I need to do to afford, those things?
Right.
And start the journey, and see where it takes you.
Yes, definitely. And it didn't stop with you. I mean, we'll touch very lightly on this, but because of the things that you were going through, you actually also allowed your son to be seen, right?
I did. And he was having some challenges, behavioral challenges and different things like that. And I will say that has improved tremendously, just with us understanding that we need to approach things holistically. What's going on with food? He also got like food, I guess intolerance, if you will, testing done as well. So, what things could be impeding him from all different angles. And so we've even seen behavioral improvements, with him. Speech and language has been improving, just different things like that, just from, focusing on a health journey with him. So that's been, that's a whole nother journey, but yes, that has been a blessing when I consider where I was in 2014, the tantrums, different things that he was experiencing, to where we are now. So we have seen lots of improvement, just from what we've been able to do with him. So
yes,
yeah,
a little man now.
Yes, he is. He'll be going to the third grade, I think. Yeah, but yeah, the third grade.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, time has just flown by.
Yes. Because you remember him when he was like 2, I think. So
yep,
yeah,
I do. Just little. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you would like to say? Because it's been great. I mean, just
kind of catching up and everything. No, I would just say, like I said previously, if anyone's out there and you're, struggling with, should I invest? Should I, go see Dr. Andrea? I would definitely say yes, it's worth it. You're going to get not only a person who's knowledgeable, but a person who cares. I mean, it might sound, frou-frou, whatever, but that's something that's important. That was important for me, not just, do you know, how to diagnose whatever I'm going through? Do you care? And that's what I feel like. I feel like I got, a practitioner, a scientist, and an investigator, and a friend all together. So honestly, and so that's how I know everyone else's experience is going to be, because that's how it was with me, and that's how I've heard reviews from other people as well. So if you're struggling, do more research, but figure out what you want and go for it. And Dr. Andre is the person to go to. So I will just put that plug in there. Sorry, I know you didn't ask for that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting that. But thank you. I'm probably like blushing a little bit here. Definitely. Well, I'm so glad to see where you are now, and even your son, and just, it's been an amazing journey. You got in with the program, you stuck through it, you still are, and that's what it's like. Your body's always creating, redesigning itself. It won't stop, having some challenges here and there, and you're continuing. So it's kudos to you. I'm have the blueprint. I'll do all my detective work, but you got to put it in place, and you've done that. So
that's true.
Yes, I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. I definitely, the proof is in the pudding, and I'm excited to see where the journey is gonna take me, as I'm continuing to be on it. So I'm excited. So
awesome.